The sea breeze carried the scent of cedar when Lily tugged my sleeve and whispered words that turned my world upside down. "Grandpa, my parents are going to take your house tonight." At 9 years old, her voice carried both terror and courage no child should bear. I stood steady, masking the quake in my chest, the same way I had the day I buried Evelyn. Nathan had called me earlier, his tone too rehearsed, Clara's voice faint in the background. They wanted me early at the birthday party. "Family stuff," Nathan said. I'd heard that phrase in boardrooms. It never meant everyone, only the ones already holding the knife. That night I stared at my yellow legal pad and wrote 3 words: papers from bank. Evelyn's voice echoed in memory. "Don't let pride make you reckless, Arthur. Don't let fear make you small." From that moment, the calm life I had built cracked. I wasn't just a grandfather anymore. I was a man preparing for battle inside his own home, and they had no idea. The house was dressed in balloons and laughter, but beneath the streamers I smelled something sour. Clara smiled too brightly, her hand lingering on my arm as though sealing a deal. Nathan played the perfect host, but I knew his smiles. This one was a mask. Guests trickled out, leaving the 3 of us in the living room. Clara's leather tote rested by her chair, bulging with papers. My granddaughter peeked in from the hallway, eyes wide as Nathan spoke. "Dad, let's talk about the future. Just making things easier for you." Clara laid a folder between us. A yellow tab marked the signature line. Durable power of attorney. My fingers brushed the thick stock paper. Then she slid out another. Transfer on death deed. I felt the walls of the house tighten around me. Nathan leaned closer, coaxing. "It's just insurance. Back up. Nothing changes for you." But I'd spent a lifetime in negotiations. That word, just, was the sweetest poison. I rolled the pen in my hand and said quietly, "Tomorrow. 10 a.m. with witnesses." The smile faltered from Clara's face, and in that crack, I saw the beginning of their unraveling. The night before, I built, not with wood and nails, but with witnesses, records, and resolve. This wasn't just preparation, it was construction of a defense stronger than any wall. Every nail was a document, every beam a witness, every plank a decision I had made long before Nathan and Clara ever thought of circling me like vultures. Margaret, my neighbor, came first to mind. A retired bank officer with eyes that could read contracts the way a farmer reads weather. She had seen them at the bank days earlier, a stack of papers clutched between them. If anyone could pierce through the fine print of Clara's schemes, it was her. She agreed without hesitation. "Arthur," she said softly, "I'll be there. Families like yours need someone who won't flinch." Her niece Jenna followed. Young, sharp, a notary with a steady hand and a journal that turned spoken words into permanent record. One line written in her ledger could outweigh an hour of false smiles. I wanted her there, not only to witness, but to etch truth into the wood grain of time. Then there was Sam Whitaker, an old friend whose calm was sharper than any blade. Sam wasn't a lawyer, wasn't a banker, but he carried a presence that made dishonest men stumble. He once told me, "Arthur, people reveal themselves when silence sits too long in the room." That was why I needed him. Silence was going to be my weapon. Finally, my ledger. 74 entries written in my own careful script, money given to Nathan over the past year, repairs, tuition, taxes, insurance. Each entry not a loan, not an investment, but an act of trust. Proof that my hands were steady enough to provide, my mind sharp enough to track. It wasn't just ink on paper, it was evidence of a father's love twisted into ammunition against him. I rehearsed everything, the placement of the chairs so light would fall on them, not me. My back to the window, their faces illuminated, every twitch visible. Evelyn's picture sat by my side as I whispered into the silence. I kept my promise. I just didn't see how fast he'd sell his. Her eyes in that frame seemed to warn me still. Morning came sharp and cold, the kind of cold that makes the air taste metallic, like the breath before a storm. The house was silent but not peaceful, more like a battlefield waiting for footsteps. At 10 o'clock, Nathan and Clara arrived. Their folders were clutched like weapons, polished smiles painted on too quickly. They stepped inside and froze. Sam sat calmly, arms loose but gaze sharp, Margaret with her notary stamp in her lap, Jenna already opening her journal. For the first time, I saw a flicker, small but real, in Nathan's eyes. Fear. We sat. The oak table groaned under the weight of what was coming. Clara leaned forward, her voice sweet but sharpened with steel. "Arthur, this is just about making things easier." I let silence stretch, longer, heavier, until her smile twitched. Then I leaned in, steady, unhurried. "Is there anything here that transfers control of my property without my express consent?" Nathan answered too quickly. "No." They tried another angle. A white envelope shoved through my door. Competency evaluation at 2 p.m. Their doctor, their terms. But when they arrived, they found not one doctor, but two. Dr. Harrington, board certified, neutral, unshakable. She questioned me about finances, choices, decisions. Each answer rolled smooth, dates and figures from memory. Nathan shifted in his chair. Clara crossed her legs the other way. Harrington closed her notebook. "Mr. Bennett is fully capable of managing his affairs." Kelman, their doctor, tried to hedge. Too late. Witnesses had heard. The truth had been written. Clara's syrupy voice turned brittle. "You'll regret this." "Not as much as you will," I said quietly. But their cruelty wasn't finished. Days later, they pulled their cruelest card. Lily. "No tuition without your signature. You won't see her until this is settled." They thought they'd found my breaking point. But when I looked at Lily's heron drawing pinned to my corkboard, I understood. Surrender would teach them her love was negotiable. And that was something I would never allow. 3 weeks passed. No visits, no calls, only silence, sharpened into punishment. They thought the absence would grind me down, that the weight of missing Lily's laughter would bend my resolve until I broke. But instead, it carved me into something harder, something they hadn't expected. Iron. When I stepped into the courtroom, the air felt different, charged like the moments before a storm. The case title hit harder than the walls of oak and varnish: Arthur Bennett versus Nathan Bennett and Clara Bennett. My own son's name on the opposite side of the V was a fracture deep in the bone. But then Jenna stood, her notary journal in hand, voice clear. She read the words she'd written weeks ago. He won't see her unless he signs. The truth echoed in the room, not mine, not even hers, but theirs. Their own words captured in ink. The judge's gavel fell. Visitation granted every other weekend, effective immediately. The sound struck like thunder. It wasn't just an order, it was light, a torch in the dark. That Saturday in the police substation parking lot, Lily spotted me. She broke into a run, small sneakers slapping the pavement, arms flung around my neck with a force that nearly knocked me back. "You came back," she whispered. I held her close. "I never left you." Back home, she unpacked her paints on the oak table. The heron's wings were brighter this time, streaked with sky blue. She smiled, unguarded and free. "It's finished now. See? The wings are ready." I looked at her and felt Evelyn's presence in the stillness. They had tried to turn love into leverage. But like the heron, stillness isn't surrender. It is strength, waiting for the tide to shift. And I had shifted it.